So today I'm going to talk a little bit about how making sure that you actually get the extended warranty or factory warranty, for that matter, that you bought. I'm sure some of you remember my 2019 Acura RDX, which suffered a head gasket failure. However, I had to go back and forth to the dealership several times, something like 4 or 5 actually, because they basically refused to, let's say, admit that it was indeed a head gasket that was bad. So, quick recap: losing coolant in the overflow all the time. It was empty, it was overheating, went back and forth. They finally tested it, decided, hey, that's what it is. But what I'm here to tell you is that the reason it was covered is because all my service went through the dealership. And unfortunately, I'm seeing some very dirty games played by the dealerships these days. And if you are not going to your dealer for service, there is a lot of people getting denied warranty, like a lot. It's a problem. And I'm surprised it's not talked about more at this point anyway. So fast forward to this, which is the newest and let's call it latest and greatest vehicle I bought, which is a 2018 Ford Expedition. Love it to death. Great truck. I'm going to call it a truck. It's not an SUV. It's basically a truck. It's not a truck frame. Lots of power towing, blah, blah. Anyway, getting back to the facts. So I bought this thing. Sounded like the sound you just heard. Absolutely terrible. That was a cam phaser that went bad, and it was pretty cut and dry. Called the dealership, literally said right away, yeah, it's the cam phasers, they're toast. I know that sound, I've heard it a million times. Went in, they got checked, instantly fixed, no questions asked. They said, yeah, bang, day and a half, work was done, come pick up your truck, have a nice day, on to the next one, see you later. However, now we're going back a little bit further in time. This is only this is only a couple months after the phaser problem, which the vehicle had about 51,000 miles at the time. Now it's pretty much at 60, so 9,000 miles later, I'm having problems. So I traded in my Acura RDX towards the Expedition, thinking everything was well. It turns out not quite. Funny story though, when I got the Acura, like when we got it back, it literally, by the way, again, if you're not up to speed, sat at the dealership for a month before it was finally finished. And yes, they gave us a courtesy car, which was great. However, we didn't get a courtesy car until the work was started. So it was back and forth a bunch of times, time and gas money and out of my own pocket, clearly, to get it figured out. And, so it all worked out in the end. We could say, like, oh my God, thankfully they covered it and everything is great. Well, you know what? No, you can't get the time back. So it's still extremely frustrating and annoying. However, that was a bad head gasket. Kind of going through the same thing now, I believe, with my Ford. And on this Acura, the manager came out once the thing was done, and he's like, you guys are so lucky that you did all the service here, or you would have never covered it. And this is a secret that I don't think is a secret. I've been aware of this for many years, but it's getting way worse now. That cars are getting warranty issues all the time. I mean, you don't have to look far at all on your phone, internet, to find about, I don't know, a million recalls for everything brand new. It doesn't matter anymore. It used to be, oh, that's a terrible brand. It doesn't matter anymore. Tesla, Ford, GM, Clearfield, Stellantis, we're not even going to go there. Everything's blowing up there. It is just absolutely insane, and nothing lasts. And the problem is that my opinion is that it feels like it's pretty much engineered to fail, and clearly it's failing before it's supposed to. Some might argue that. That's just my opinion, because I don't know what else to think. I mean, they made, cars in the 50s that lasted hundreds of thousands of miles, and now we can't make cars that last 40 or 50 or 60,000 miles when technology has come so far. Try and explain it to me, but doesn't make any sense. But moving on to my real latest problem, which is with my new to me for that matter, Ford Expedition. And like I said, 60,000 miles on the button, so about 100,000 kilometers, depending on where you live. And it just went in the other day for a warranty check because my coolant was about half empty. I had checked it because I was just checking the oil, because I know it's getting close to due for an oil change. So I, looked at that, and I just noticed that's about half down, and I pulled the stick on the oil, and it's slightly overfilled on the stick for checking the oil. So I knew right away that there's a problem here, and Lord knows I've rebuilt enough engines over the years to know a bad head gasket when I see one. So I sent it to Ford, obviously, right? But I have a third-party warranty. It's still covered through Ford. It's technically through Ford. So I out of pocket. So best case scenario, it's $100 deductible that I pay for the warranty when it goes through. Otherwise, I get charged a 1 hour labor check, which is in this case almost $200, which is absolutely outrageous. However, so I knew that going into it. Figured again, very cut and dry. Talked to the same advisor, said, "Hey man, pretty sure this thing's got a bad head gasket because the oil's up a little bit and the coolant's down." So with the Acura, it wasn't such a problem to me because it was not entering the oil pan, which is going to obliterate the whole engine. It's going to wipe out all the bearings, piston rings, everything. It's all bad when it goes in. On the Acura, it was going out the tailpipe. So realistically, who cares? Not a huge deal. This is a different monster. So knowing that, I wanted to make sure that everything's fine. I brought it there, and of course, I get right off the hop, "Oh, well, you know what? We tested it, and turns out that everything looks fine because we pressure tested the system to 21 psi, and no leaks were detected through that test." Now, I might add that that is a normal pressurized test that your system kind of regularly sees. 14, 15 psi, give or take, is what the load normally is. It can go up, so they test slightly higher. However, a head gasket, when it's bad, it's heat that makes it expand. When it is, let's just say a hairline crack, right? I mean, I've seen head gaskets blow right out the side of a block. Different story. More often than not, though, it's a small crack. And especially with these turbocharged engines, you are not going to notice any kind of a seepage until it is at higher load, which obviously turbos create heat, so that's a problem. And so it's hard for them to replicate. But what has happened here, essentially, is that they have now a case. I'm building a case, essentially, and I'm going to have to go back for more pit stops there because I am 110% sure this is a problem, and this is the problem. So essentially, what has happened is that I will have to go back. It's going to happen again, 100%. And eventually, they'll probably fix it. But this is why it's very important to do all your service, because if you don't, you do anything, they can just say, "Oh well, you did your own oil change. You changed your spark plugs, you rotate your tires." I've heard some crazy things out there, but the moral of the story is that they can not deny you, and who are you to fight a multi-billion-dollar corporation on their claims of denying you? You're never going to win. So save yourself some time and effort and do your services at the dealership when you need to keep your warranty valid. This is not something you want to get caught with. This is thousands of dollars to fix these days. This is not a cheap fix. Another great example of this, while we're on the subject, my uncle's going through the same thing with a 2019 Hyundai Sonata he bought since almost new. And Hyundai has an extended warranty on these engines failing the 2.4 liters. Many people are aware of it. Very generous of them to give that extended warranty. However, he's been through the same hoops that I've been having to jump through with all these other dealerships, and this is, again, a very common denominator. So his car, they made him change a bunch of stuff that he obviously had to pay for out of pocket, and he's been to the dealership back and forth many times. The car clearly has a rod knock, a very light one. It's only under hard acceleration that you notice it, but nonetheless, he's been back and forth to a dealership literally half a dozen times, and only finally now, 4 months after this whole thing started, are they ordering him an engine, and he doesn't even have a rental car yet. So his car's been in the shop for a month. So don't get caught up in this issue. The easiest thing is buy a brand new car, which is exactly what they want you to do. Keep buying new cars. Lord knows they can't sell them. They are everywhere on lots right now. It doesn't matter which dealership, and there's layoffs, and there's a huge problem. That's another video. But you will save yourself a lot of money and pain if you just do your simple, most basic things. Oil change, spark plugs when they're needed, whichever the case, diff flush, all that stuff. And these are all very reasonably priced items. So why you wouldn't do that to begin with, I could understand, but it will save you money, and it's ultimately going to help you in the end. So I hope this helped some of you out there because, again, this isn't a secret to me, and I've known this for a very long time, but it is, again, getting pretty messy out there, and you don't want to be caught with a $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 bill when all you could have done was pay a $80 oil change at a dealer.